Welcome back, everyone, to Cash and Clarity. You are with your hosts, Daniela and Agape. We are excited to have you today on our new episodes regarding career path. And we have one of our best friends in the house and great guests. So we'll let them introduce themselves, tell us what they do, who they are, and then we can get started with the episode today. Yeah. So go ahead. Let's start on my left.
Hi guys, my name is Fidela, but I go by Della. I started my career in public health. I actually got my bachelor's in public health in 2020. And I think about a year and a half ago, I just decided to switch my career and just pursue dentistry. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
We're excited to have you.
Hello, guys. My name is Mugisha. I go by Mo, for those who don't speak in Rwanda. And thank you guys for having me here. And I'm invited on the podcast. My career is I'm a pilot. I trained for 6 years, and it took me about another 2 years to build my experience. And I've been working for this company for another 2 years. But we'll talk more about it. That's a little bit about myself.
Nice. So jumping right into this more, I wanted to ask you a question. Like, how did you even convince Rwandan parents that you wanted to be a pilot? Because growing up, this is not something that we saw of people being like, oh, we know like a certain pilot. And I think there were like certain careers that our parents always wanted us to go. Be like, go be a lawyer, go be a doctor, go be this. But pilot is not something that was actually out there. So how did you convince them, and what was that like for you? What was the love that drew you to actually want to become a pilot? I want to be different.
All right. Let me start with how I actually got the idea of becoming a pilot. So it's actually a little bit simple than you would think. So I was in high school. I believe that was grade eighth grade. And there were just a couple of friends of mine just, talking about how you have to be smart to be a pilot. You have to know so much physics. You have to know so much geography. But all those things are myth. You don't have to, you have to know a little bit of it, but you don't have to be that smart. So
Yeah.
I took that on as a challenge, and I thought it was something unachievable. And I thought to myself, what is that thing that's so unachievable? If somebody can do it, I can do it as well. So I started looking into it little bit by little bit. And by the ninth grade, I knew that I wanted to become a pilot.
That's awesome.
And it took me, I don't know, probably another 2 years to tell my parents or anybody, because I thought it was, everybody would just say like, that's just a dream for a kid. He's going to grow up and change his vision, choose something else. But my parents have always been educationally supportive.
Yeah.
My dad, for one, he didn't really think that was, he thought it was just, like everybody else, just unachievable, but I'll support my child. So they didn't tell me not to do it, but I also didn't think it was achievable. So, they supported me educationally, and I kept looking into it and studying it. I moved to the US in 2014. And I went to school. I really had nobody who would
guide.
Yeah, as a guide,
Right.
to tell me what was going on. But
Yes.
one thing I knew in the end, I just wanted to become a pilot. So I took it step by step. And so it took me 6 years. I mean, if I was your guide, I can probably get you done in about 2 years or less. So that's a little bit of my story.
That's such a great thing you mentioned. And I think there are a lot of young people who they want to be something, but there's no like example on what to look at just to be able to achieve that. And there's no guide, but
Right.
but in your case, you still went ahead and did it anyways. Like what would you tell that young person? They're perhaps, starting their career today.
Right.
And they feel like, oh, I want to be a pilot as well, or I want to be, let's just say, a doctor. But I've never seen that example in my life, in my family, or anyone close. Like, how do I keep that drive in me without allowing other people to discourage me?
One thing I'll tell my young self, or anybody who wants to do something like that, believe in yourself. Do not back down just because, see anybody who looks like you. And I hope whoever is, watching this podcast or listening, and if they see somebody who looks like me, if I can do it, you can do it yourself.
Right. Yeah.
So just keep the drive, believe in yourself. It wasn't, it wasn't hard, but it wasn't also walking the park. So, just keep the drive and believe in yourself. Eventually, it's a matter of time. Things will line up. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Oh yeah, that totally makes sense. And then like you also have like a sort of similar experience, but a little bit different.
Yeah.
Because you actually went ahead and got this degree in public health, but then you decided that you wanted to go for something different, which is, it takes a lot of courage. It has a lot of strength to even realize, like, this is not what I want. And my question to you would be, what was that moment when you were sitting down and be like, I have a degree in this, I'm already working, but this is not what I want. I want something different. What was that moment for you?
Yeah, so I think my story is kind of similar to yours. I always knew I wanted to be in healthcare. Even I remember like being in college and undergrad, the reason why I went the public health route was because I really wasn't sure like where I fit in. And I was like, you know what, let me just do public health. It's going to open me up to so many different like careers. And once I graduate, like I'll be able to just kind of, work in different like aspects of healthcare to see where I fit best. So when I graduated, I worked in clinical research. I also worked for a hospital, and I really just, I don't know, like I felt like something in me was telling me to go for something more. And even though I enjoyed my job, I mean, the money I was making was okay, but I just still felt like that thing in me, like I was meant to do more than what I was doing. I was just sitting behind a computer all day.
Yeah.
And for me, I really love to like interact with people. And I didn't just want to feel like, oh, I'm just going into work to sit behind a computer all day and do documentation. Like I want to meet patients. I want to meet the people that I'm like, actually helping. So I started looking into like PA school. Actually, even though I got my degree in public health, like I always knew I wanted to go back to school and, maybe get a master's. I know me and like Afi talk about this on the we literally used to talk about like getting our master's, and I just still wasn't sure. Like everything I looked into, it was just like, oh, that sounds great, but I don't know if that's gonna fit my personality and like the person I'm becoming. So when I looked into dentistry, I was like, okay, I think I can actually do this. So I went to do shadowing with a dentist. And I'm not kidding you guys. Like I walked into that office and I was just like, I belong. Yes, like I belong here. It's such a weird experience. But I really think when something is meant for you and you walk into it, you just feel like you belong there.
Right.
And even just talking with the dentist, like I think I spent about 2-3 hours with her. And I got to also speak with a patient that she was like doing just a general cleaning. That was just I think she was doing a checkup that day. And just speaking with the patient and like interacting with her. And she was just like, you're going to be such an amazing dentist. She was already giving me that like affirmation. Yeah. So for me, that's when I knew. I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go for it, because every single other career I looked into, it was interesting to me, but it never felt, I just always felt like it wasn't, like I wasn't 100%. But with dentistry, I was 100% like, this is the thing for me. So,
well, that is such a great story. And that, like, I can imagine the emotions from changing from one thing to another completely.
Yeah.
I think most of us, when we're done with, let's just say college, no one wants to go back and take, let's just say, another completely different major from what they have studied. So there's a little bit of fear. There's a little bit of, am I wasting time? What would you say encouraged you the most?
I think for me, was just like the thought of staying stagnant, because even though I was, in these job positions, I always felt like, okay, if tomorrow these people decide to fire me or decide, you know what, we want to maybe have only 2 people on our team. What am I going to do? So I always felt like I wanted to just have a career that was like for sure, like a for sure thing. If I lose this job tomorrow, I know I can go somewhere else and get the same job. So dentistry kind of gave me that security that I was looking for, to say, you know what, if I'm in dentistry, I know even if something happens at an office that I'm working at, or even if it is my own office, like I just felt like I would have more control when it comes to like that job security that I really need. Yeah. So
yeah, that is very good, and that makes sense. I think like I was in a similar path where I actually started doing accounting. Then I was like, I don't like this. Like there's something else that I want, and I ended up switching to financial analysis. But a part of me was like telling me like there's just something else out there. Don't be afraid to pursue it, and don't be afraid to look into it. So my next question to you guys was, being a dentist and being a pilot is not cheap. That is for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, sometimes they're like, oh, these people have money. These are the people whose parents are rich, and that's why they go for these careers. But one of the obstacles, even in finance, that something that we always face is financial. How are we going to address the financial side of this? So I wanted you guys to talk a little bit about it, being like a dentist and being like a pilot. How do you navigate all the financial burden, even like the emotional burden of, am I even gonna make my next tuition? Yeah.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I'll tell you one thing, it's not cheap. I mean, at least on my side of being a pilot or flight training is not easy. Or cheap, I should say. There's so many times that, you have self-doubt. Like you said, am I going to make it? And, you look ahead, you're like, this thing, I shouldn't really have done this. I should have done something ordinary, that's for sure, that everybody else has done before. But you know what? I stayed on course. One thing I also mentioned, being an immigrant in this country comes with so many challenges.
Absolutely. Talk about it.
So as for one, school, you pay like 3 times more than, in-state student. It also came with challenges. That's why it took me 6 years, paying out of pocket. There were times where I had like 2-year gaps when, when everybody that I started together, they're moving up ahead in their career and they're progressing. And I look at myself, there is no movement at all. That's when you start to think like, maybe I should just give up. This is not my thing, right? But like I said earlier on, just take it one step at a time. Now that's my story. It doesn't mean that everybody has to do it the same way. And that's one thing in aviation, there is no one path, if you're lucky to have like a green card or a US citizen, there's so many scholarships out there. I couldn't really tell you which one to go for because I wasn't eligible. But they're out there, they're available, there's military routes, so, different routes. It just depends where you are, but it's very possible.
Absolutely.
But it's very also expensive. That's actually the challenge. I would say the expense part is, being smart is not the challenging part. Being able to afford for it, that's challenge number 1. And commitment is challenge number 2, and staying consistent. So that's what I would say. How about you?
Dentistry, you guys, is so expensive. I think when I went into this like career path, I had no idea how expensive it would be. Even just like the entry test that you have to do to go to dental school, it's like $500 for just one test. And the applications and like just all these things you have to pay for is not cheap. And a lot of, and now it makes sense why, a lot of people who go for these type of careers, they're kids who already have parents who are like dentists. Because, they can be able to afford these things. But I think for me, I just went into it thinking, maybe this is a bit crazy of me. I really didn't let the money side like kind of scare me. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to worry. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. For me, I always look into resources. Like, when I decided to go to OSU, I looked into like extended education programs, and
Yeah.
like the help is out there. You just have to like look for it.
Absolutely.
And when it comes to just, you know, paying for things, like sometimes I just have to either save up a little bit for myself and pay it, or, you know, thankfully both of my parents are very supportive, and, you know, this is something that they also want from me. Like if I ever need, you know, help in this area or that area, they're able to help. But with the big things, like, you know, I think dentistry is such a huge investment, because even with kids who do have that like huge help from their parents, you still graduate with like, you're in debt and so much debt.
You have to take a loan and stuff like that.
Exactly. But the way I look at it is like, you know, I'm investing in me,
Right.
and the return will be greater, you know. So I don't really let the money part scare me, because there are ways around it. You just have to be really smart about, like, you know, getting those resources, and they are scholarships. I've met people who went to, you know, dental school, and they're debt free, like they don't have to pay anything. So you just have to be really smart about it, make connections, look for those scholarships, because it is there. Yeah,
absolutely.
So.
That's such a great answer, and I think one of the things you both mentioned was the support from your parents. It is great to have that support, especially being in this country, not knowing, like not having that support system they would otherwise have at home. I think it is such a great relief to have some people, like even if it is expensive, to at least have those people who believe in you and who still cheer on you. So that is very great that both of you had that as you were going in school. And so I think Mo, you mentioned something regarding that about the pirate career basically not being like a walk in the park. And I think that most of us, when we think of it, we just think, oh my God, imagine flying a plane. Imagine like, oh, like it must be cool just being in the air, you know. But I think maybe we've discussed it a little bit about like how it can also be challenging. Can you talk a little bit about that journey? And perhaps there is that person who's thinking, oh, it's just nothing but roses and, you know, fireworks. But can you really talk to us like about the journey of being a pilot? What does it look like to a person who doesn't know?
Well, there's two different phases to it. There's training, then there's also actually working, you know, in corporate or whatever airline you're working for.
Right.
Those can be, you know, different. So I'll start with training. Training can be, at first, can be very frustrating.
Yeah.
So flying is a skill like any other skill. You know, I like to compare that to like playing piano. You know, so at first you're just gonna start and nothing is clicking.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned, it's expensive. I mean, she said something about a test costing about $500, but I'm talking about paying $150 before instructor per hour. You know, so you're paying about $200 per hour and nothing is clicking. That gotta be frustrating.
Yeah.
Now, even though you have parents that are supportive, they don't really understand what's going on. It's like, they're not real progressing, but we're spending this money, right?
Yeah.
So then you eventually, you know, pass that, you know, that point. But there's so many certifications, you know, ahead. It's always like, you know, you gotta get your private license, which is about a minimum of 40 hours, national average 60 hours.
Yeah.
And you know, you get past that, and you gotta get your instrument license. That's, you know, then commercial license. Then you gotta become an instructor. Believe it or not, you gotta teach other students to build your own experience as well. But I would say you learn a lot by teaching other people, because you're just sitting back and watching other people making mistakes, and it clicks for you. It's like teaching somebody how to drive. You know, when they screw up, it's like, oh, that, you know, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Then after that, you also gotta build your hours up to 1,500 hours. That's what you need. It's a lot of hours.
Yeah, it is.
When I was instructing, I think I was barely making 40 hours per month. So you can see how it's just gonna take time, and time's like, when am I ever gonna cross that bridge? When am I ever gonna cross that bridge? So you're always in a rush to cross the 1,500 hours. And once you get hired at an airline, it becomes a job. You know, when I tell people, it sounds like everybody thinks that's good. I'm in the air, just moving from place to another place.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, because I work 8 days on the road, I'm gone for 8 days. Number one, it's not good for family,
Yeah.
It's like there's always problems in relationship because, you're gone.
Yes.
And so those are not the roses. And it starts feeling like a job. It's, crossing multiple time zones. You're jet lagged all the time, looking tired and whatnot. So, well, not just to say like it's, to say the negatives, but I just want to point out there, like at the end of the day, it's a job like any other job, but I wouldn't substitute my career for anything else, if that makes sense. There are days where I see the sunset. Like the other day, I saw the moon rise and the sun setting in a different direction.
Wow.
So that was cool. And it's just something, that everybody wants to do and they don't really have a chance to do it. So it's only few of us that do it. So that's rewarding. And just being in the air, defying gravity and just sitting up there at 45,000 feet, eating your breakfast. You're like, wow, I dreamt of this. Even though I just woke up at 4 a.m. just to fly somebody privately to their destination. Kind of keeps you, moving. The next day, you wake up and keep pushing. So, I mean, I hope I answered your question. I mean, there's so many things I could say, but, that's a little bit of a... Yeah, that's a little bit of answering to your question, hopefully. So.
And my next question was going to be to Della. We often talk about you having your own dental office.
Ooh.
I'm like, I cannot wait to take my kids to Della's office. That is just going to be so exciting. But oftentimes, it's the same thing for dental students. It's basically that you don't think that there's a lot of work that goes into things, and it actually takes more years to even be able to graduate and finish. Can you walk us through that path? Like, how long does it take and what are some obstacles that you have faced being in dental school?
So dental school is 4 years, and usually after that you do 1 year of residency, and some people decide to look into specialties after that, and that's a whole nother ballgame. But so you do 4 years of undergrad and 4 years of dental school. That's 8 years.
Wow.
And some people take a gap year. So honestly, you're looking about like 10 years. Total, yeah. It is not, it's something that you have to be sure about. But I think it's definitely a worth it journey. It's just, it's not about, I've learned that it's not about the grades, it's about the grit that you have. Like, if you really want to do this,
keep going, basically.
Exactly. If you really want to do this, keep going. Because, 10 years are going to pass anyway. Exactly. But if I'm saying, I'm going to be 35 anyway. I could either be 35 and be a dentist, or just be 35 and still feeling like, what am I'm stuck. Like, what am I doing with my life? And I think that's what keeps me going, because I'm like, it's going to take me a long time, but as long as I get where I need to be, like I get to that finish line. Thank God. We thank God.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to keep your eyes on the prize rather than the current process, because anyone would look at 10 years and be like, oh my gosh, this is such a long journey, but just keeping your eyes basically on what you're trying to achieve is the best way to get there.
Something that has been a challenge for me is that the thought of this is going to be such a long journey. Sometimes it's easy to get discouraged because you don't really see that it's not that instant gratification. It's not like, okay, I'm going to do these 4 years of undergrad and start making money like my friends. No, you're gonna be broke through dental school. It's gonna be struggles, but I think something that keeps me going is knowing right now, I'm meant to do the baby steps. And I can't look at the big picture. It's not about the big picture right now for me. It's about the everyday. The everyday work I'm doing, what I'm putting in every day is so important. And I think that once I switched like my mindset to that, to think like that, it has helped me tremendously, because now I don't focus on like, oh, it's been a year. Like I need to see this big change. No, there's a lot changing. I'm doing a lot, but it's just I'm not going to, I guess, see the results or reap what I'm sowing just yet. So just have to keep going.
Patience.
That is very good. You actually explained that very well. It's not about focusing on everyday hardships. What am I facing? What is not working? It's being like exactly the way you say. I can be 35 with a degree, or I can just be 35. So keeping your eyes on the prize and knowing like eventually I'm going to get there, and my focus is not going to be everyday failures. It's just going to be, let me do the progress and the baby steps. Eventually I will get to the finish line. So thanks for saying that. And
well, hold on, before you move on, I do have a follow-up question. You have to do sorry for stealing
go ahead. This is an open conversation.
So do you have to do residency, or can you start right away after you finish those 4 years?
So you have to do residency, but it's 1 year. And you can do it in the hospital, or just like you can work with kids. You can do like general dentistry. I'm not really sure if you want to specialize in something, if you go into it right away. But I do know when you finish, like once you graduate dental school, you do have to do that 1 year of residency. Yeah.
Okay, sounds like medical school. Almost,
kind of journey.
Oh, another thing. A lot of people are scared of like going to the dentist, like feeling like there's gonna be stuff going in their mouth. And
I know.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you not worried about screwing somebody's teeth, opening their mouth, and you gotta dig into their mouth? As much as that your patient is nervous, I mean, I would also think like, you'll be nervous as well.
You know what? I get that question a lot. I think for me, I've never had like a bad experience at the dentist. Actually, I went to Rwanda in 2024 last year.
Yeah.
You guys, I had the best experience. Like this dentist, oh my goodness. I had to go back and shadow him and just like, I just want to like be around him, shadow him more, because that experience was just amazing. He made me feel so comfortable.
Shout out to the doctor.
Do you remember the name?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I actually don't. I don't remember his name. And that's so bad, because I was just talking to one of my family members about him the other day. But anywho, he just made me feel so comfortable. I told him what I was struggling with, and he was just like listening to me, and he fixed my teeth. I had how sometimes you go to the dentist and you feel like your mouth is so irritated and so painful. I had none of that. So I think for me, my goal, I'm so excited to change that narrative, to also be around other dentists who I feel like provide that, good experience to their patients, learning from them, like what are you doing differently from, other dentists. I really think people who work in healthcare, you have to have a different type of heart to make that, to make somebody feel heard, to make somebody feel comfortable, because you're up in somebody's mouth. So it's like you want that person to feel comfortable, to just talk to them. I feel like sometimes even that connection, even taking 5 seconds to really get to know somebody and just speaking to them and getting to know them as a person and not like as a patient, makes a really huge difference. And that's actually one of the things that excites me about this field, is because I feel like I'll get to have like that one-on-one with every single person I'm treating, and just speak to them as like a human, not I'm just your dentist, and I'm in a rush to get to the next person. Like I'm really taking my time to hear your problems and the things that you are struggling with, and just as an expert, like
help you the best way that I can.
Exactly. Like give you what I know will help you. So
that is so awesome.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. You just reminded me of this girl. She I met at OSU dentistry. She was so nice. Like I think I went to the dentist appointment, I think 6 times a year because of her. She was so nice. She would send me like these messages, reminder about the appointment, and then we would discuss basically different things. So it wasn't just about like getting my teeth fixed or something like that, but she was just so intentional. So I do hear you in terms of like providing more than just fixing what's wrong. It's really providing the best experience for your patients as well. So that is very good.
Yeah, it's honestly, you said that so perfectly. It's about the experience, and I think one of the things that I love about dentistry, like when I meet most dentists, they're the sweetest people on earth, and they're just so warm and easygoing. So I think that definitely makes a difference.
Awesome. That is such a great you just shared such a great moment with us. And so going back to more, what would you say it was like the best moment you've had like in your pilot career they could share with us?
I think I'm just thinking of one moment. There's other better moments, but this one is personal, and I think it's common for most student pilots.
Yeah.
It's when you solo.
Yeah.
You go for the first time by yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So the first time you take it in the air, you gotta take in, you gotta do 3 takeoffs and 3 landings by yourself. Now, that's usually depending on your skill level. It's about anywhere between 10 to 20 hours or 30 hours. It really depends. If you're consistent, it doesn't take that long. If you fly like a couple times a week, then it might take a little bit longer. It also depends on an individual and an instructor as well. But every time you get close to a solo, the instructor tells you or gives you like, pointers like, oh, you're almost there. And, or they might say like, oh, this was your landing, but they're sitting there by you. It doesn't feel like you're doing it all by yourself.
Yeah.
Now, the first time you take off, it's all easy. But as soon as you get in the air, you just look on the side, you're like, oh,
by myself.
I'm just by myself. I have no option but to land. They always say takeoff is optional, but landing is mandatory. No matter when, you're going to land. Whether you're upside down or the right way, you're going to land, right? What goes up comes down. So that...
a funny saying. I know.
But that day, I remember even the day it was like summertime, 2015, I believe. I was struggling getting my landing straight, and that was a very frustrating moment. I'm thinking like, if I can get this landing straight, I'm never gonna be a pilot. I mean, what kind of pilot am I gonna be if I'm just landing crooked? And eventually my instructor signed me off to go solo, and when I landed and went back home, I just kept thinking like, wow, I did that. All by myself, right? Like it finally clicked. And you feel like you're just a little bit over the edge, and now it gives you more, it's a confidence builder, I should say, right? The next flights you feel like, oh, I'm actually doing this. It's just there giving me pointers. It's actually not at the controls. So that's the moment I would say like, I felt like it was a good moment in my career. And also getting the second one was getting my airline transport pilot. They call it ATP. It's where you have those 1,500 hours and now you're eligible to be hired by an airline. At that point, you have had so many checkpoints that you went through. But the initial one of going solo, it's like it just sticks. That's a good moment. So
that's a memorable moment for sure. Oh my God, thanks for sharing.
I know.
Actually, you said something funny. What goes up must come down.
It's gravity. Gravity is not friendly, so, it has to come down, and it's up to you how you come down,
Exactly.
So, the training kicks in, and everything they've been teaching you put into use, and finally you feel like, I'm doing this by myself. So like I said, it's a confidence builder, and you see yourself doing it by yourself, so.
Man, one thing that I know about myself, I could have never been a pilot. My anxiety would not allow me to be a pilot. Even right now when I fly, I still feel like, oh my God, I'm going to land. I say a little prayer every single time I'm on a plane. I cannot imagine somebody doing it every single day.
Yeah.
And like the moment you say like what goes up must go down, I'm like, in what way? There's so many ways to go down. I am not willing to take the risk and find out. So I'll let the professionals handle that for sure.
What's worse for you, like landing or taking off?
Definitely landing, because taking off, it's like at least there's hope, but landing, if you know you're messing it up, I don't know, for sure as a professional, but if you're messing it up, man, do you even have a second to pray? It's a tragedy, and I feel like, at least from what I've read, most of the pilots, it's like once you have that type of accident, it's so hard to survive. So, not to scare you, but. But thanks for sharing. And then as we wrap up this conversation, I had one last question to ask you guys. I know representation matters. And I remember one time that you actually came to see me at work with your pilot uniform, and there were these little kids looking at you, and they just kept looking at you, and I even told you, I was like, did you see those little kids looking at you? Like, they were just so proud to see, like a black pilot just standing right there, and you look so young to it. I mean, given you're young, but I feel like even being a dentist, you are the only one that I know even pursuing that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm very proud, and I know there's nobody out there who's better for this, and I'm excited for your journey. Yeah. But I just want to say, most of us, at least coming from an African background, being a pilot or a dentist is not something we see every day or we're familiar with. For the kids that do want to pursue this, but they don't have anybody to look up to, anybody to ask questions, anybody to tell them about every day or even the financial struggles, what advice would you give to them right now?
I would say, if you can, go to a university that has a dental program on campus when you are, going for your undergrad, because that's going to help you so much. I feel like you'll be able to, make connections with the dental school, it's so much easier when you can be able to talk to people who are already in the program. Yes. And I feel like being at OSU, I've made so many connections. Like, even I got an opportunity to work at the dental college, the dental school. So, being able to make those connections while you're trying to get into that place, it just makes it seem more realistic. Because right now I work in the dental pre-clinics, which is basically for all the D1s and D2s, students who are in their first year and second year. They spend 2 years in pre-clinics, and it has been such a blessing to be able to just interact with them and actually see what they're doing. And it has even affirmed me even more that being able to be in lab with them, it has even affirmed me more, okay, I see what my life is gonna look like, and I can actually it's not just a thought anymore. I'm visualizing what I'm gonna be doing, what it's gonna look like, the type of work I'm going to be doing, the type of assignments I'm going to have to do, even practicals, the type of exams they have. So it's so important to just surround yourself with, if you can, surround yourself with people who are already where you want to be, because it will really make it more realistic. And I feel like if I wasn't at a place or at a school where I got that chance, I would have been like, this is too much. It's too overwhelming for me. And just being able to meet other students who are kind of on that path with you, it really helps. So to kind of, I know that was a lot. So first, make sure that you are sure this is the career that you want to take. And then secondly, if you can, go into a school that has a dental program already on campus, so that you can start building those connections.
I would say if you don't have any representation, believe in yourself, right? have something that you're passionate about, have something you're passionate about, and just keep chasing it, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if somebody has done it, even though you don't have that representation, somebody out there is doing it who looks like you, right? And keep the drive. But one thing I would say about me, well, it served me both positively and negatively. I'm hard-headed.
So are you saying being hard-headed?
Well, in a sense, where it served me positively was like I knew I wanted to do this, even though people would tell me like, I remember they would tell me like, oh, just go be a nurse. It's because not to say that be a nurse, right? Not to say they're trying to advise you badly, but that's what they know, right? And that's what they know that has been successful, right? But my hard-headed, I stayed on course, right? So believe in yourself and keep, just keep the drive, and eventually, it's gonna happen. But I also say like representation matters, like how she was saying, if you have something in proximity, maybe if I had somebody that I knew, I would have pushed even much harder. But I'm glad, like you mentioned, the kids were looking at me, and one thing I know is like I've always been this person who is always at the background, not an attention seeker. So when I see people just looking at me, I get in my head, it's like I have to act a certain way or do things, because they have expectation when they see you in uniform, right? And you have to meet those expectations and act nice and walk a certain way and whatnot. But I'm glad as a person of color that that kids at young age looking up to me, and I hope I make some sort of effect to them to choose that career. So
Yeah, well, thank you everyone. This was our episode of Cash&Clarity with Della and Mo. Thank you guys for being here. We wish you the best in your careers. I know you guys will make it, and I cannot wait to brag about you guys every single day. So thank you for being here.
Yeah, the sky is no longer the limit. It's the playground now. So.
Yeah.